Education is often referred to as a gateway right. And what we mean by that, of course, is that it is in itself a fundamental right, but without it, so many other rights are not attainable. But what happened when they got to the border was that the aunt explained her story and their story and said, this is what happened to us, this is why we're here, we're applying for asylum. But the Department of Home Affairs said, yes, you, as the adult woman, you can apply for asylum, but this child is not your child. But the law doesn't say that it has to be your biological child. We then went on with the rest of the case, and we eventually won that case. The Lawyers for Human Rights won that case, proved that a dependent includes children who are not biological children. Unfortunately, the Department of Home Affairs noted an appeal. And now the government has passed a new law, the Department of Home Affairs passed a new law that actually says only biological children can fall under the asylum seeker permit. So they basically saw that the court case had opened a space, and what they've done now is they've narrowed down that space. They then provided funding for the school, the number of teachers, the school feeding scheme, the number of textbooks, the number of workbooks, everything was based on children who were documented.
So if you don't provide those documents, nothing for you.
And this suddenly excluded large numbers of children. So there is litigation that is ongoing at the moment to try to move the government away from this and to rather go for a head counting arrangement, because our law actually allows children to be in school if they don't have documentation. But what's happening at the moment is one gets the feeling that the strategy is to squeeze people to the point where they will stop coming. So if we make it difficult for them to access education when they're here, then they'll stop coming. And I think it's very wrong to use children as a way of directing your migration policy. They shouldn't use children to send the message to parents, stop coming, or go home, or whatever it is that they're trying to say. So I'll just leave you with that thought that really, whilst in South Africa, children have a constitutionally and internationally protected right to access education.
We should never forget that every child in this world is looking forward to a bright future.
Because after all, how does adding to the number of people who are illiterate in our country, how is that going to help anything?
Judge Chaskelson, when ruling on the death penalty at constitutional level, wrote that it is only when a society can protect the rights of the worst and the weakest among us that we can guarantee that our own rights will be protected. One of the measures for our success as a country in being able to provide for an education for children is the answer to the question, are we doing it for the weakest among us? 3 to 6 is an urban response to an urban problem. And many of the issues that Professor Skelton spoke about today around the rights and the barriers that prevent children from getting into schools are the things that we face in the 3 to 6 project. The way in which we treat foreign children in our country is no less despicable than the way in which the apartheid government used to treat the African citizens of our country. If one looks at the history of migration in the world, almost without exception, one finds that migrants are net contributors to the economy of a country.
All our children, whether migrant or not migrant, they are the future of this world.
By not integrating children, we are not maximizing the opportunity for our country to benefit from the presence of children.
I am personally, as a parent and as a migrant, grateful to the 3 to 6 project. And it helps us parents face and deal with our many challenges. When at least you know there's 3 to 6 that is helping with the children, now you have time to go out there and engage with the government, engage with the community to try to find solutions. when you arrive in a foreign land, you're seeking for asylum, you need to find out where is the refugee reception center. So if you don't provide those documents, nothing for you. They reject your application. It's automatic when you go to Home Affairs. You come, you tell your story, they say you are lying. It's difficult for you to even appeal the case. You need to know where to go, how to do it. When you are busy running here and there, you leave your children in the street, and it's a big danger. And you call yourself a parent. Because of this documentation, as Professor mentioned, without a proper birth certificate, without your ID, you don't get accepted in schools. They should be granted identification papers. And children born in South Africa should be granted birth certificate. Leaders also should at least develop and implement policies in the Children Act to promote equality of opportunity for children, including the migrant as well. We strongly believe this should be a model to apply throughout the whole country. Not only here in South Africa, even other places. A big thank you to the wonderful 3 to 6 team and their supporters, all of us here, who guide and help our children to realize their potential. To be very honest, when our children comes back home, you must see the smile they bring back home. It empowers us when we go out there. We are fully energized to go and face the world. We should never forget that every child in this world is looking forward to a bright future.